And we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Weekly Roundup. Jake Friel, Steve Reichel. Got a jam-packed show for you tonight. A lot to talk about, obviously, with the big news that the NBA will be returning July 31st in Orlando. Going to be talking about that. Obviously, since the NBA kicked off them returning and they also started the whole league shutdown, we're going to be talking about which league will follow suit in the return following the NBA. And also, at the tail end of the show, we'll be talking about LeSean McCoy. Could he possibly be an Eagle again? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Also, we got UFC 250 tonight. We'll be giving our predictions for that, breaking that down as we wrap up. But as always, before we get into it, let's get a word from our sponsor. We are brought to you by our doc, Make 'em Yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. And our poll question tonight is also brought to you by Ambuck Services, AMBUCK Services.com. Call Michael Ambrose, tell him A2D sent you. Get yourself 20% off. Gutters, gutter guards, gutter restoration, anything you need done outside of your house, Michael Ambrose has got you covered. The website is ambuckservices.com, AMBUCK Services.com. Now, the poll question, teams' performances will be affected without the fans in attendance. Agree or disagree?
I mean, it's kind of loaded. I mean, you can make an argument for both ways because at the end of the day, like, they're professionals, but we know a lot of NBA players really kind of feed off of that energy that comes from being at a live sporting event to having 15, 30,000 fans cheering you on. It's kind of a different experience. So I mean, I think it might be kind of adjustment because maybe when we start seeing the first couple games to kind of see what plays out for the bottom seeds or whatever, you might start to see some of that. And maybe the first few games as we get into the bracketing style that we're going to be looking at, you might start to see some adjustment period. But I think as we get into it, like, a lot of these places are probably you're going to have simulated crowd noise and stuff like that. And that's kind of a new thing that hasn't been done in NFL stadiums or anything like that. So it's one of these things where it's kind of we're in uncharted waters. So like, I could say that it shouldn't. They're professionals, but in some senses, I think initially it will. But I think as we start getting into like the meat and potatoes of everything, like they'll kind of adjust and we'll start getting into some basketball. I mean, you have to admit you're definitely gonna miss the defense chance, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But with me, honestly, I agree to the poll question. I mean, like Steve, you touched on earlier, like you can go either way with it, honestly. But I really think just having that is really going to affect teams, especially the Sixers, because they just have depended on that home court advantage all season, and without the fans, maybe they turn it around. We'll see, but I want to see how it affects other teams as well. I know they said they're going to be pumping in fan noise from NBA 2K, which is like, I mean, it's okay. Like, it doesn't do anything for me. I get like that you're trying to simulate like a complete game environment, but I really just do not see how it really not benefits, but I just don't see how it really just adds anything to it.
Yeah, it's one of these things where it's like it's going to be hit or miss with both the players and the fans. You don't know if it's something that is going to be really needed, if people are going to get hated, both fans and players alike. But you have to do something to kind of stimulate the energy for the fans. And like you were saying, for the Sixers themselves, they should be worried because it's one of their biggest, bugaboos for them is not being able to play to their level of basketball, their caliber of play on the road. We've seen it time and time again this season. It's one of the things you kind of hope kind of dissipates as this, kind of this settle down period for them. You hope that it's one of the things they can kind of come together as a team and put it away. You're in a different environment now. You're going to have to, for lack of a better term, nut up or shut up in this situation, right, brother?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. And leading up to Brian Daly's question, what's up, boys? No pumping in crowd noise. I want to hear the chirping back and forth. No, absolutely.
Well, all right, Brian, but here's the thing. We've been hearing a lot of people sitting there saying they want to hear him mic'd up. So maybe that's what you do on top of here. Like so we can us still have that environment, but you can still have that you can still hear the players chirping back and forth. We're still going to get it. Like, even if they're pumping in crowd, is it going to be over that whenever they speak? I highly doubt that. I don't care how loud the speakers are. You're still going to be able to hear what them guys are saying.
Yeah, no,
and
absolutely.
I still think we should take that. The thing that Deshaun's proposing for the NFL players is mic up some of your superstars.
Yep.
Every guy, Prism already warned me about this one.
You can take that one.
Well, Sean Porter would rather. I mean, it depends. I mean, Pac-Man took some L's. I mean, he's probably beloved worldwide, but how do you argue with Mayweather's total wealth at the end of the day?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, has anyone beaten him yet? As much as we like to argue things or whatever, at the end of the day,
no one's beaten him yet.
He still has all the hardware in his closet.
Yep.
Manny's got that worldwide respect, but he doesn't have the pop that at least in America that Mayweather does for whatever that is.
Yeah. Mike Parker also says all these executives need to be trying to optimize the TV viewing experience and modernize it with everyone only watching TV and not live. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Mic them up.
Yeah,
mic up your head coaches,
mm-hmm.
and mic up 2 or 3 of your stars. Maybe one of your guys who you know is going to be in the bench, so you can kind of hear what they're talking about too.
Well, I think just
obviously the delay, yes.
Yeah, obviously with the delay.
Obviously, because we know we're going to hear some
the
bombs.
FCC regulations and whatever.
We're going to hear some bombs, that's for sure.
No, but my thing is just take it. What do you call it? Just take little tiny things from what we saw from the XFL this year. You had coaches mic'd up, you had players mic'd up, and obviously Deshaun already said it. Just take little things to just add to the viewing experience. You can be don't be, and this is what I'm concerned about with leagues kind of coming back, especially the NBA. I'm just afraid that they're going to be scared to try new things, if that makes sense. Just kind of a new way of adding different kind of angles, views, and stuff like that to the game, to where we're kind of just used to it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Like I know you're trying to do new things that people are scared about. Listen, it's going to be for one. It's an experiment. At this point in time, let's throw caution to the wind, because it's what a month, 2 months that you're going to have to go through with this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe try some things. Listen, at this point in time, you're already moving yourself ahead as far as one of the bigger sports franchises. When we talk about the big four.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? You have nothing to lose. Even if you miss,
yeah,
you're not losing anything. You're not going to lose any position in ground, especially with baseball continually putting their head in the dirt.
Yep.
So you have nothing to lose. Hockey isn't really going to surpass you because they don't have as many stars as you.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, in my opinion, I would just throw caution to the wind, have some fun. Show the world, show your fans that you really are the number one fan sport.
Yeah. Yusuf Chan also says, if the Sixers were to play the Raptors in the playoffs, who's winning this year?
Well, see, here's the thing: them at home, we've always had problems in that building. Regardless if we're talking about this team, Iverson's teams, whatever, we've had problems in that building. That's all out of the wind now. You don't have that advantage when you go down to Toronto now.
Yeah,
I like, and here's another thing: we played well in Orlando for whatever reason.
Yeah,
so I don't know
the Magic this year,
however, we've had success down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the best, but it's something that you can try to play off of and see if these guys can run.
Yeah.
So what do I see? I see a dogfight just like it was last time.
Yeah.
We might go 6, we might go 7. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But, I think right now, if you have to put a gun to my head, I guess I would lean toward the Raptors because how they were playing towards the end there right before the stoppage. But I still bleed blue and red for my Sixers, man. Let's go, boys. Let's put them away.
Yeah, I think I'm going to lean just towards the Sixers just because of what they have right now. Obviously, they don't have Kawhi. But again, we struggled against them this year, but we're in neutral territory now, so I think that kind of adds to more of the Sixers' advantage than it does the Raptors. But again, it's really, really close. Honestly, it's really, really close. But I think, and again, I think it's just a homerism in me, but I'm going to have to go with the Sixers on that one. But it's going to be tough because at least these first couple games anyway, with this 8-game regular season just for seeding purposes, it's going to be it's going to be like watching G League. That's what it's going to be like. It's going to be like watching G League. Like you can practice and do all that all you want to, but like you can do your best at practice and whatever. But when it comes to playing the game, it's completely different.
Well, I guess we'll find out. In what, another month or so.
July 31st, yeah, like a month and a half. It feels like it's been gone forever. That's
Yeah, but here's the thing: like some of these teams who were banged up, or maybe weren't like some of these fringe teams. I mean, when you look at that list, is there a team that you think that shouldn't be there?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you. It's tough.
Like you like New Orleans in there?
I do. Just because like they're a young team and they add something to it, and just because I know for a fact that's what the league wants. The league really wants the Pelicans just to get in there. Ted FX has how's this going to work? Is Ben in Australia or is all of our guys in America? No, they're all home. As far as I know, they're all home.
I don't think anyone left.
No. But the
only sports athlete was really in that situation was Khabib, right? Because he was in Russia and he was trying.
Yeah.
That's why that thing couldn't happen.
Yeah, you can't fly to different countries. Yeah, you can't fly out of the state.
We're seeing Fight Island, which is basically them going back to Abu Dhabi. So
yeah. Yusuf also says, can anyone beat the Sixers beat in the East, beat the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals? Yeah. And I just said it by accident, but I mean it. It's the Sixers.
Team that can give them trouble. I mean, we've also a team that we push them back and forth. Have a team that's capable of doing. I mean, I guess the other thing is we named the two teams that are obviously teams that push them, but is there a team like a wild card team you think you can knock?
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, it's really tough, but no, I think the Sixers definitely have a chance. We always match up well against them for whatever reason. We always seem to play them well. Whether Giannis is having a good game or not, we always play them close. But Ted also says Lillard says he's not playing. I didn't see that. Maybe that's possible. I have that's news to me. That's news to me, Ted. I don't know. I haven't heard anything in regards to that. Prism also says, what's more impressive? The Raptors maintaining a high level of play with losing Kawhi or the Warriors losing Steph to injury, as well as everyone else, and being at the bottom feeder team this year. Well, you knew the.
I mean, I have to say the Raptors because kind of everyone expected them to fall off.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But where everyone kind of expected the role players in Golden State to keep them relevant. Mm-hmm. Where that did not happen this year at all. It was like they all fell off a cliff this year.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things too, which I find to be kind of funny because we knew it was going to happen sooner or later with the Warriors, but after KD left, it's that they just been hit with a stroke of bad luck. Now, are they a playoff team still? Yeah, absolutely, but they're not going anywhere as far as like the Western, like the conference finals or anything like that. Nothing crazy as far as that goes, but. Yusuf also says, also if John Wall returns back to 2016-2017 form and plays, do the Wizards have a shot in winning?
I loved him, man. I really did. And John Wall is one of these guys who was kind of defines this era in a way. So it's kind of hard for us to kind of see him fall off the way he has with injury, and it sucks because we lost a lot of guys who could have been stars in a lot of these sports to injury or whatever. But I don't know, man. Can like they're one of these franchises. They're kind of went from being someone who was ascending, and one of the teams who we're taking shots at the Sixers when we were doing the whole process thing, right?
Yeah.
And here we are as kind of a reverse situation, and the guys that they had that they drafted, they built around, are no longer there, or they're kind of the tread is starting to wear thin, so to speak. So, it's one of these things we got to see how it plays out. Again, the gun to my head phrase, I would say no. I think they should break off, sell off as much as they can, rebuild, and do a process like situation to kind of rebuild the team for the future. I mean, we didn't do it right. Obviously, we missed so many times. Obviously, right?
Right.
But no, I would have to say,
Yeah, I'm going to say no as well. Ted also says Warriors have Clay, Steph, and Green. Yeah.
But here's the thing: what is Steph going to have left? What is really Green going to really give you moving forward? And is Clay really committed to that team? Could he be one of these guys that are looking past?
Maybe, but
maybe trying to get out. Listen, I got my rings, and I'm not going to be one of these guys here.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he wants to find his own team, but again, we'll see. Tom says 10-9-8. What's up, Tommy? Prism also says a completely healthy Oladipo makes the Pacers. Yeah, no, I agree.
Oh, I love Ollie. I love
Oladipo.
I love Ollie, man, and that's another one of those injury situations, man. It's just like it just follows them around, man. And sometimes it's one of those things where it's like maybe a change in environment helps him.
Yeah, and I think it's that way with a lot of players.
Look at the injury problems that we've had here in this city throughout all of our sports teams, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
We at least at some point in time over the last 15 years, we want to walk down to that sports complex and just literally rip out the entire physical training staff and you're not doing your job, get the bleep out of here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So like it's one of those things like maybe it's one of those things where he has to go somewhere else. And it's
maybe.
If I wasn't Ali in like a Magic before, wasn't he?
I forget. I'm not 100%. Ted also says Woj reported Kyrie Irving will be in Orlando as an inactive because he had surgery, but is Brooklyn a playoff team? They're a playoff team once everyone's healthy, once you have KD and Kyrie. But again, it's one of those things where Kyrie has injury issues. The past couple of years, KD's had a couple injuries here and there. But again, they have the pieces there to be a competitive playoff team. But it's just all about at the end of the day, and it's the same thing with every team. It's all about health. That's what it's all about. Can they stay healthy?
It plagues a lot of teams, man. We've been waiting for a healthy Eagles team for 4 years, haven't we?
Yeah, ever since Ever since 2017, yeah, it's been looking that way. So maybe it's something in the water we're drinking. I don't know what it is. Will Kawhi turn to Toronto if he's a free agent again? No, I don't think so.
No, he likes his situation there. He's the other Cali team, which I think he likes too. He wasn't the Lakers. He wants to he wants to build. I think he kind of feels like San Antonio never really got him. Regardless of the success, it's just he never connected with that city for
whatever reason. Yeah.
And Toronto just really wasn't ever the place for him. It was just a place to get out, and he made the best of every situation that he had there and won them a championship. Off our backs, you're welcome.
Exactly.
And then he gets the situation now where he has the Clippers, and he's got a nice
stacked team.
He's got a nice team around him, and he could very well get a couple more pieces and possibly win another championship this year with another team. How many guys have said that they won championships in 2 different conferences with 3 different teams?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Shaq's probably one of them.
I think.
But it's not 3, it's 2.
Yeah, it's something like that. but moving forward, the question that I have that I've been curious about, and I think I have an idea, but I'm not 100%. I want to know what the fam thinks, and Steve, obviously, I want to know what you think. Well, what sport do you guys think is coming back next?
Hockey.
Hockey.
That's a good question. They're the one that has the most pieces and kind of lined up to kind of return.
Mm-hmm.
As far as when we're talking Big Four, when we're going outside of that, we could see how the sports return soon. I think boxing might be a little bit closer than some people think. MLS might be a little bit closer than people think.
Yeah.
But I think hockey is because it was one of those sports franchises that were operational at the time in the middle of the season. Baseball didn't get started. Their players and owners are so far away. You could probably say the Grand Canyon's a big. I really don't know what we're gonna do with baseball. I know like a lot of us are. Baseball was one of our first loves. So it's gutting us, it's tearing us up to even have to say it. But I kind of see several sports returning before we'll see baseball, and I say hockey's at the top of the list.
Yeah. And Mike Parker, he says in the comments, golf is back next week. So, little golf clap for you. Little tiny golf clap for you. Not my thing, personally. I did watch the.
Well, no, it's one of these things like what I mean. You got to, no matter what, golf is a part of American pastime because it's just it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you don't have the stars that you even had in the 70s and 80s. It's like you don't have the battles, so it's
right.
Like, it's not like you have guys that are good, and then there's a couple that kind of may stand out. And
right.
It's a star. All your sports are star-driven sports. You don't have a star, it disappears. Look what happened to cycling when they jumped on with Lance Armstrong.
Yeah,
destroyed that sport.
And we saw what happened with that. So,
destroyed the sport.
Yeah, and with me, like I grew up to where it was Tiger, and then it was everyone else. And you don't really have that in golf right now. Obviously, Tiger isn't what he used to be. Like, obviously, you have your big names in golf, but there's no one that was there currently, I should say, in golf that's good or nearly, I should say, as good as Tiger was when he was younger. So, to be honest with you, we might never see it again. We'll see talented golfers, obviously, in the coming years, but I don't think we'll ever see something like Tiger again.
I mean, you had, but see, Tiger had someone to push to strive to be. He had people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that like that are going to want to emulate guys that are playing now.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. Like we can pull up stuff of so many guys from so many different sports. We could say, it's one of the things that piece spoke on, his greatness wants to be emulated and stuff like that. So it's one of the things, if you don't have somebody in your head that you want to strive, I want to beat that guy, that Michael Jordan mentality.
Right.
You're not going to want to be someone in that sport. You're going to find somebody, you're going to gravitate to another sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you are, somebody saying like, hey, this kid's amazing, but he loses interest because there's nothing to push him to want to be it.
Yeah, exactly. Ted also says on Twitch, what's crazy is baseball is in the best sport to return. They got social distancing thing down before COVID happened. They just arguing over money now, I guess. Well, the thing is,
I've been saying it, money and games, man. And
yep.
Once they turned, it was like, I think we're going to get right back to 82. I kind of thought that they would turn down the 100+ games, but I thought we would get back to 82 again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they need to do. And like, listen, you're all losing out at this point in time, but if you shut it down, you're not going to make the momentum for it.
Yep.
It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you either cut your nose off to spite your face, or you make some concessions here and there, you take some losses, and you try to make it up in the coming years.
Right. Yeah, no, I hear you. But I mean,
here's the thing: it's a fan-driven sport. You're not going to have people there to buy merchandise and stuff like that. So here's the other thing. You're going to have to get creative. This is what we were just talking about with basketball. You're going to have to get creative and find the ways to engage with your fans. This is not it. This is going to drive them away. This is going to drive them to other sports. Enjoy watching your fan base go from amazing to getting back to where we were in the mid to late 90s.
Yeah. But and we touched on it last week a little bit too, to where it just, at least with my generation anyway. I know I love baseball, and I have a couple people that I personally know who love baseball too. But there's a lot of people that just can't sit through a baseball game.
It's something I talk about with a lot of people. It's like, unless you're a family person, like you're bringing the little ones, grandma and grandpa's coming out, they haven't seen the kids. Like, that's the environment you're gonna have for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the extreme other side where you have the college party guys.
Yeah, exactly.
So like it's a select few. It's like almost like your private club.
Yeah, right.
In a way. So you're only having your fans are going to be a select group as it is anyways, and you're going to alienate them doing this. It's not a good look. Where other sports can go to different ethnicities, backgrounds, etc., and you have that in your sport, and you're completely missing it.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but it like, there's a difference, like watching a baseball game on TV. Obviously, it's not as engaging. I understand that part of it, but when you go to a baseball game, it's just something different about it. Like, not like you can sit back, relax. Like me and my best friend, we went to baseball games all the time, and people at A2D can attest to this. I probably went to like 20, 30 games last year with my buddy, and we were obviously watching the game, but it's like cool to just like sit there, have a conversation, relax. It's not only like about the game; it's about the conversation, the environment, the people. There's so much that goes into like just going to a baseball game that, unfortunately, I think we're all going to miss this year. But I really do hope that we can just get at least some sort of baseball. But we'll see. The MLB being what it is, who knows?
I don't know, man. It's hoping, hopefully, some of these stars will come together and kind of, maybe get in their owners' ear a little bit to kind of say, like, hey, well, what do we got to do to kind of get some traction going here in the right direction? Somebody's gonna have to be the bigger man, person, whatever. I don't know. We need something at this point in time.
Yeah, exactly. Mike Parker does bring up an interesting point, though. Think any sport can sell upgraded TV viewing packages along with lines of pay-per-view for special views, or maybe even VR views. No, I get it. I think
what he just said right there sounds right up the UFC's alley too.
Yeah, I like the idea.
They're going to be in Abu Dhabi and stuff like that, and they do everything a little bit extra over there, anyways.
Right.
So I could see something like where they have like a freaking drone freaking flying around at the top of the cage, outside of the cage, kind of. You could do something. There are some of these sports that can do packages like that. VR the freaking umpire. Let's see how fast them balls come in. Let's see how hard them freaking curveballs dip off the plate. Like it might be an interesting point of view to kind of see for these fans. So if you're losing TV dollars that way, then you need to figure out how to bring people in with certain packages, and even maybe how they always have the player of the games afterwards, and have these things where maybe these fans could bid on like a Zoom call after the thing, and you win a package with whatever for whatever team. Like you have to think of something at this point in time to bring people in.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're baseball, basketball's already on. Like I already know they're gonna blow fans away. It doesn't matter. They are normally hands a foot above it when it comes to that type of stuff.
Yeah. And Prism makes a good point that they where, if I can find the comment, there it is. Baseball live attendance and TV ratings have dropped over the past 3 years, but that's not necessarily on the fans. That's on the MLB for just not marketing their players.
Yeah, it's something we've touched on a lot of over
a lot of our shows. Yep.
Weeks, man. It's one of these things like all right, take a couple of your performance pitchers out of there. Take out Trout, take out Harper, and name me a starting score. Okay, good. Now we're on the same page.
No, I get it. Like your casual fans, no, absolutely. You take out Harper, you take out Machado, you take out.
Well, we can talk about with the exception of the NFL, you can talk about that in a lot of sports. You can say that about boxing. You can say about that about mixed martial arts, about the stuff that I love. So you can say that about a lot of these sports, that they have their handful of people that they pick and they push. And it's the same way we talk about it when we talk about actors in Hollywood and stuff like that. They get their favorites and they push. Well, at the same time, us as fans need to, and the media also need to do a better job of pointing out those special people, those diamonds in the rough, so to speak.
Yeah,
I think that's also our job too.
No, absolutely. But like whoever's on the MLB marketing team, I'm amazed that they haven't gotten fired yet. It really is amazing. Like I don't get it. It makes no sense to me how you have a league with a bunch of phenomenal talent, and you can't market your players.
Hey, listen, I can guarantee you there's at least 2 to 3 guys on every team that deserve a little bit more pop.
Oh, absolutely.
And we can say that about a lot of teams and across all 4 sports and even further. Women's athletics. It's something I think is something that is severely undermarketed. And
yeah, no, you're right.
Because women are probably the most marketable things on this freaking planet.
No, I hear you. Absolutely. You're not going to hear me disagree to that. But it's, and we can talk about it till the cows come home. It's just something that's like it's one of those things. It's just beating over people's heads so much is that you don't market your players. There's people that don't know who Nolan Arenado, like your casual fans don't know who Nolan Arenado is, Cody Bellinger, your top tier players that nobody knows about.
Big markets. I usually Cody Bellinger. There's another one. There's a big market like LA and go outside of the big markets and tell me who's there. I mean, you have like Chicago is a big market, and you don't really see their stars get pushed the way it is. I mean, outside of your big markets, you should see more stars out of them, right?
Yep. Prism also says a lot of old diehard fans, like I used to be, quit on the league after the failure to properly discipline the Astros. Feels like a slap in the wrist when they blackballed so many of the steroid era. No, absolutely. That's a really good point. That's a phenomenal point.
Oh, and we'll go back to the points that I've made about that over the year. Empty freaking suits. Empty suits.
Yeah.
If you're going to go soft on them, then hey, how about the guys that have been sitting there getting hammered for stuff that they have paid their dues for? Get the respect they deserve. We talk about this with Hall of Fame balloting, with players that have been been just hammered, players that have been given passes who've been known to have been cheats. It's so politically ridiculous when we talk about it in a lot of things, and the political nonsense that goes into sports, into who goes into gets the love for the Hall of Fame, for the writers. We all play a part in that, man, and it's one of the things that I love, that we have this voice on this platform where we can make our voices heard even more.
Yeah, absolutely. But getting into the other topic, is LeSean McCoy coming back? Because there's not a report, but it's like a rumor going on that according to Zack Rosenblatt from I believe Bleacher Report. I believe he's from Bleacher Report. I'm not 100%. I could be wrong. But he did say it's, quote, increasingly unlikely that the Eagles signed Devonta Freeman due to his asking price.
Well, we kind of knew that Devonta would kind of be out of the market. And it sucks because he's the mold of what you need. You need a hammer. With all the guys you have on the roster, you need a hammer. And I don't really feel we need to add another back at this point in time. I know we have that, but like with the guys you have on the roster, you can kind of make do. And here's the other thing. Whoever you sign right now is taking a roster spot from a guy who be playing special teams. And that's something we kind of need it's kind of important in football, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I think we can get production more, if not better, out of the guys that we have on this roster now that can play a part in it. We can kind of see what works out with Elijah Holyfield You can see how that plays out. You still
Yep.
have some of the guys on the roster you can make moves with. But at the end of the day, don't you think LeSean McCoy and Devonta Freeman will be available as we get closer to the preseason games? And wouldn't
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
not hammer them, the veterans in camp anyway? So,
Yep.
I mean, all this right now is just he said, she said, rumor mill type stuff anyways. If something's going to happen, it's going to happen in August. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in June. It's not going to happen in July. It's going to happen as we get closer to things happen and they kind of get a feel of what these guys are, what they can do, and if they can produce. If they can't, then I agree. Yes, we might see a return of a LeSean McCoy.
Yeah,
I think if we see the return of LeSean McCoy, a guy like Corey Clement's gone.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And that or a guy that you just signed, one of these young draft pick running backs won't be on the practice squad or something like that, and you still see things switch that way. Or a guy like Elijah Holyfield won't be on the team or on the practice squad. So.
Yep. I think as far as like how I see it, and I've been saying it for a while, just how this organization runs things. They brought Jackson back last year. At this point, to me,
like if you have to think about it, Deshaun was still being highly productive at that point, and even though he had nagging injuries, he was still being very explosive.
Right.
We've already seen what happens with these running backs as they get up there, and LeSean's one of these guys that he'll have about one of those things where he has 7-8 carries, he only averages 2.8 yards, and then he'll bust one out for 63 yards, and that's how. But here's one of these things because of how much beating he's taken over the years, he's not getting that. He was a healthy scratch last year. Why? Because he does one thing, and they already have these guys on the team that do that. And our team, that's kind of the same thing. So the question is this team going to be willing to sacrifice a roster spot for a guy who's been playing special team, or do they want to bring him back for sentimental value, whatever it is?
Right.
If you bringing him back for an actual reason where you think, hey, he's going to get significant snaps and he's going to play, or if he's an emergency policy, or however you want to go that way, I really think that you should try to see what you have now. Move forward. If that doesn't work, then we talk about bringing a guy like LeSean McCoy or Devonta Freeman.
Yeah. I think with me, and like I said the past couple of weeks, I think at this point it's writing on the wall. They brought Deshaun Jackson back last year. I'm not saying that it makes sense to bring LeSean McCoy back, but just knowing how this organization runs things, I can just see it happening. I really can just see it happening. LeSean McCoy knows exactly where he's at in his career. He probably has 1 to 2 years left in the league. He knows he's not what he used to be. He's completely open to being a backup or maybe even a number 3. We'll see. But again, it's one of those things where if it happens, okay, cool. I'm not going to be like excited about it or anything like that. Like, okay, cool. Number 3, whatever back. I honestly think too, I can really see this team carrying 4 backs this year. I really can, just because of hypothetical potential injuries and stuff like that. And with all the young guys that you got in this offseason with Elijah Holyfields and the guys you got in undrafted free agency, you have to give one of these young guys a chance. I don't see, and I know his dad really well, and I hate to say it, but I just do not see Corey Clement making this team this year. I really don't, unless he just wows us in preseason or he has that magic that he did in 2017. But it's going to be interesting. But I agree to your point, Steve, to where we might not even see anything till like August. Late July or early August,
unless they're in a real rush. But I don't think that you could see anything that you're not going to be able. Like, you just have to evaluate these guys first. So, like, and at this point, it's just like rumor mill nonsense, clickbait nonsense for me at this point in time. You're not going to see any movement. Has anyone signed with anyone over the past month and a half?
Yeah.
So we're not going to see anything. It's just stuff for some of these sites to get clicks on at this point in time. That's my opinion, honestly.
Yeah, no, I get it. And Prism also says, is all of McCoy's value all tied on third down as a third down back or passing downs?
Okay, but wouldn't you rather have in that situation at this point in time? And even if that's the case, why would you want to have him in the backfield? Where a lot of times when they're on those third down passing downs, they don't really go to one back sets. They go to empty. We see 2 tight ends instead.
Right.
So it would be one of those things where like he's literally going to be on the roster for what 30 snaps a season.
Something like that.
Like I said, as much as I love him, as much as he means to this city, meant to this team, I just don't see where he contributes unless there's a major injury.
No, and I understand that completely. I'd rather have Devonta Freeman, but he wants too much damn money.
That's what we're missing is the bruiser.
Mm.
You got a guy who can you can get lost in the pile and he busts out and gives you 15-20. Yeah. We already know what we got in Miles, right?
Yeah.
So, and we have guys on this roster who I think could make a difference. I think Killian should wind up being your kick return.
Yeah, maybe.
I think him and Corey Clement should be fighting for that special teams kick return spot right now. And if you're going to bring someone on the roster to be your hammer, you should look at what Holyfield is going to do. If he's not going to be anything on this team, let him go and find somebody who's going to give you 3.5, 4 yards in between the tackles.
Yep. I hear you completely. But obviously, before we wrap up the show, UFC 250 is tonight.
Going on right now.
Yep, the little prelims going on right now. So we're going to give our, just the main card. We're going to go over the main card. Obviously, give our predictions, give overviews of fights that we're interested in.
Well, no, we got to show some love to Brian. He's going to be fighting in about an hour. Good luck to our former guest, Brian Kellner. Should be putting boots and knuckles to faces pretty soon.
Yeah, right.
So I guess the first one, Eddie Wineland and Sean O'Malley. Sugar Shane, man, he's going to be doing his thing. He gets a really tough seasoned veteran in Eddie Wineland, so it's going to be a first really big test. He's he's been on an upward swing. I mean, I think he's getting 40K just to show up right now.
Yeah. Who, Sean?
I mean, he's on that upward trend. I know. Again, Brian was trying to call out a guy of this caliber. He wants to be the contender series killer. Hopefully, both of them get wins tonight, and we kind of see that matchup happen.
Yeah.
And I think Sean does do it.
I think so too.
I think O'Malley gets it done. I don't know if he finishes at Eddie, but I just think he's gonna overwhelm with that youth, that speed, that athleticism. So,
yeah.
And then Neil Magny, man. I love the vet, man. The tough veteran, our service veteran, Neil Magny. I'm definitely taking him over Martin in this one. He always finds ways. Like even when he gets in these fights, where sometimes people kind of feel he's overmatched or something like that. Mm-hmm. He's a gritty guy, and I don't think this is one of those things. Not to take anything away from Martin. Always going to be a Neil Magny guy. Call me home or whatever you want. I like his style. He's good off his back. He's always continually improving his striking. So a guy like that, I kind of see him weathering the storm. Getting a unanimous there. What do you think with that one?
With me, I always pay attention in fights. My first thing I always go to, age I don't really look at unless you're 40-something years old going against a 25-year-old. That's a completely different story. But with me,
I'm going to get you on some money.
The first thing I always look at the reach difference between the two fighters, right? So obviously, Magny's coming in with a 6.5 reach advantage, and that's going to be huge coming into this fight. 22-7 in his career. I don't know. To me, I have Neil Magny winning.
Yeah, like Will said, I love Neil. Like he's one of these guys. I watch him develop. He's had some bumps in the road. It happens to a lot of these guys, but I like him coming up on top of this one.
And answering to Prism's question, this fight coming up that we're about to go over, I think this has a potential to be the show stealer of the night.
Of the upcoming fight?
Yeah.
So you like the St. Hagen and Algeo Sullivan fight?
Yeah, I really do.
I love Algeo, man. Interviewed him, previous shows before. Watched him. Cage Free Fighting Championship. He was color commentator there for a while, but he's one of these guys. He's an interesting guy, and again, nothing against St. Hagen, but. I love my guy Algeo. Just multifaceted, dangerous on his feet. Good off his back. Has good sprawl and brawl. So I really like his. But I do see him finding a way to get St. Hagen out of there. He's hungry. He's trying to make a name for himself in that bantamweight division. He's
Yep.
one of these guys that not a lot of people like to talk about. There's a lot of moving and shaking in that division. Who's going to be the new king? He's a guy that has that outward charisma, whatever you want to call it, to be far in the UFC. He has that it factor. All he has to do is put it together in the cage for a few more fights, and it could change his life.
Yeah, absolutely. But with me, I'm gonna go Sterling as well. I just think it's
tools, man.
It's
got tools in the tool belt.
Yep, exactly.
Plain and simple. At this point in time, it's like one of the things where he can kind of pick and choose where it goes. And the only way you lose your fight is you disrespect your opponent. And I know Algio's not one of them guys, and it's kind of one of those things where it's just, tough fight, good matchup. I think Algio just brings more to the table. Could be wrong.
Absolutely.
And, obviously, MMA is a crazy sport.
You can get a lucky kick in there, a lucky punch. Yep.
MMA. In any other sport, I know it's crazy because we talk about football and everything else. It just matters so much in MMA. Let me tell you.
Yep.
Let me tell you, man.
One punch or one kick can completely change the fight.
It's not like if you step the wrong way and just get the right angle and maybe glancing punch and then it went from a glancing punch to a knockout punch.
Yeah.
So, like I said, inches mean so much in this sport. It's crazy. Same thing for like if you're you're backpedaling, the guy's trying to shoot for a takedown, and you're gauging how close the cage is, and you're trying to use that, and you miss it, and now he's able to kind of move and put it you so you can't use the cage to get up. Those are things what I mean about inches mean so much about it in the sport. You'll see it more as we get more into this, brother. But Rafael Assunção and Cody Garbrandt is going to be the co-main event for this one. Obviously, these guys are kind of also the guys moving up that bantamweight division. Could very well be the winner of the Algio and Sandhagen fight kind of match up with that too.
Yep.
As a kind of de facto, title eliminator, as the winner of that will be another half of because a lot of people are saying we're getting a mini bantamweight tournament over the last few weeks.
Right.
So it doesn't bother me because obviously you need new blood in there. So
yeah, exactly.
But Rafael Assunção is just a gritty dude. But I love Cody's boxing. I love his I like his style. One of these things, it's really up to what's going on in between the ears with Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah,
all together and let all the other stuff aside and do what he normally is capable of doing in that cage. I think away with the win. But Rafael Assunção will not make this an easy fight for him on any level. It doesn't matter if it's in the feet, if we're against the cage, if we're on the mat. It doesn't matter. This will be a gritty fight. I don't think there will be a stoppage. I think we're going to have to go to the judges' scorecards on this one.
Yeah, I think so too. I was kind of in between with this fight. This fight actually really interests me. But I think Steve, I think this is going to be the only one we disagree on tonight. Is that
no, I'm going to throw a winner at you.
I have what do you call it? I'm going to take Cody in the upset. That's what I'm going to take. I'm taking Cody tonight.
I don't think it's an upset, really. I think he's kind of the bigger name fighter.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it on paper and stuff like that, Rafael has the more credentials and stuff like that. But I think Cody's a guy who's kind of has something to prove right now.
Mm-hmm.
So he was riding high for a while. Hasn't had things go his way. And a lot of times when you're on that rebound road, you find yourself in something.
Yeah.
We're going to find out tonight what Cody Garbrandt is really made of.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Is not going to give him an instant breathe.
Yeah.
And then we come to the main event, brother. The effective GOAT of women's MMA and Amanda Nunes right now. Your champ going against Felicia Spencer, and a lot of people are putting Felicia out of this fight, and with rightful reason for some states, and on others, I really kind of feel it's a disrespect. I know we haven't really seen a whole lot of Canadian MMA champions, but I think Felicia Spencer does have the tools to handle Amanda. Amanda's one of those girls who likes to blitz you and stuff like that. And we've also, if you look at Amanda's past fights where she has lost, it's where she kind of doesn't really have a push. Like a lot of this stuff of like you remember go back to the Cats and Ghana fight way back when I think it was Invicta 2. It's one of these fights where you have to see like it was one of these things where she kind of was the favorite fighter and Cat wound up getting the better of her. It's one of these things where I could see Felicia being the gritty fighter, taking her in the deep waters and weathering the storm. She has the skill set to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I mean, still Amanda Nunes is the baddest woman on the planet. She walks through the sideboard. She's literally thrown down and ragdolled every challenge thrown at her way to this point.
Yep.
But also the other thing where the light at the end of the tunnel was coming for her. We all know that she's been, anyone who's been following her career know her. And Nina Ansaroff has been playing it for a long time to start a family, and she's going to stop doing mixed martial arts at some point in time. A lot of people kind of felt that after the Chris Cyborg fight, it might have happened then.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about all these factors that I named into it, does this not play into one of these things where Amanda just needs to keep her mind right and do what she does? But it's one of those things where there's a lot of things where it could go the other way, couldn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and you bring up a lot of good points, but it's a really interesting point too that like Amanda does want to start her own family like anyone else does, but it's one of those things. Maybe her mind isn't.
Who used to spit that stuff out right before her? And Rhonda did.
Right.
Rhonda did that same thing. So it's like I'm not trying to play off saying that she's anything like Rhonda. Let me get that one clear. But it's one of the things like where you see habits happen in the sport so often.
Yep.
I think it's kind of one of those things where she's kind of like, what is she there to prove?
Right.
This fight, it wasn't like there wasn't like Felicia Spencer wasn't going through and destroyed this incredible list of challenges. Not to say that anything she hasn't done, it wasn't no worth it to get her there or anything like that. I just think it was a quiet way to build up. So it's one of those things where it's a lot of people counted Amanda out of that fight with Chris Simon.
Yep.
Like, Chris is just going to do her thing like she normally does, and then Amanda shocked the world.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel that the UFC has had their shock the world moment so far this year. And I think the fat lady's getting ready to sink soon.
Maybe.
I don't know, man. Amanda's the GOAT. There's no doubt about it.
No, there's no debating it. Yeah.
She thought her credentials speak for themselves. But I'm just saying, if we're looking at this, there's a lot of factors that could play in.
Yep.
They're factors at the end of the day. There's stuff for me and you discuss at the end of the day. That cage door closed, and them two women are going to throw leather.
Yep.
Well, we're going to see what happens. I'm going to go with the upset, man.
Are you really?
I'm going to go with the upset. I think the Canadian champions is long overdue in the UFC. Go back and look, man. It's what George St. Pierre.
George St. Pierre, I think, was the last one. Yeah.
Roy McDonald was an intern, wasn't he?
I think. I'm not 100% on that one.
I think he was an intern, and then him and Robbie fought for the unification, and that's how that played out.
Okay.
I think. But I'm saying we haven't had one.
Right.
We haven't had a Canadian champion, and anyone who's a deep Bruin MMA fan, when you talk about big MMA, it goes Brazil, like Japan, Canada, and the USA. The USA is kind of like the fourth on the list as far as big market MMA.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you really have to understand the way the sport works sometimes. I could be dead wrong, but it's not like I'm sitting there completely dismissing what Amanda can do. She could very well end this fight in 30 seconds. She has the skill set, the power, and everything.
Yep.
But it's one of those things where you see what a fighter can be, and I think maybe that's why I'm going with Felicia tonight. But
okay.
She look. There's a lot of things that play into that those factoring things.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of invisible stuff that goes into MMA, just like it goes into a lot of sports.
Yep.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I really don't. With me, I'm going to go Amanda Nunes regardless. Just basically, just her track record, her momentum, her past couple fights. It's she's the GOAT. There's no other way around it. But like Steve touched on earlier, I can see where that upset conversation would come in, like everything you stated earlier.
Yeah, there's just so many there's so many layers to it, especially like when it comes to women's MMA, and just think like even when we've had like these great figures that come up, Gina Carano, Ronda Rousey, Chris Cyborg, they've never really held their titles very long. They have a real small window. Maybe Amanda's gonna break that trend if he makes it through 2020, maybe into 2021. We don't know, but it's one of these things where you have to give your contenders the respect they deserve. She normally does. It's one of those things where if Felisa doesn't have that name, it's one of those things where maybe she's looking past her. It could happen. Our angels in the outfield moment, right, brother?
No, right, absolutely, absolutely. But again, it's just one of those things where, like, Amanda right now has too much momentum, and things are just looking way too good for Amanda right now. Now, again, life does happen, and things happen in MMA and any sport to where they're not what they used to be. But I'm not saying Amanda's on that track at all. She has probably, I think, realistically, before she slows down, at least I think she has 3 or 4 more fights in her before she starts to slow down a little bit. But yeah, right now I have to go with Amanda. There's no. You're not going to get a debate from me. There's no Amanda, or what do you call it? There's no debate that.
Like we were going to agree all the way through. I told you how to sing.
It's all right.
It is no disrespect to Amanda. Like, listen, there's a reason why she is what she is now, man.
Right.
Every rain comes to an end. Everyone falls. Everyone trips over a stone. So we'll see what happens when everything plays out tonight over the next 4 hours or so. We may have an end still. We may have an end new. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
UFC 250 to find out.
Yeah. Prism also says before we wrap up, you two are the undisputed hosts, multi-sports coverage. We need a longer show from you guys. Too much knowledge to drop from both to soak in. No, and Prism, I really appreciate that. But we have a bunch of shows on here. A lot of knowledgeable guys.
You've seen, dude, like Kicking It State stock came back today.
Yep.
Shared it, and Prism was all over and messaging me about it because not a big soccer fan, but it's like one of these things where you see guys like him who have come from, and me and him have had conversations. So he's not a Philly sports fan. So it's like it's awesome when we see fans from
outside the market,
not really someone, and we get the love. Like, this is why we're doing it, to connect with people like Prism, and even furthermore, and even the trolls that come in and want to try to rough up. That's what we're here for. We're here to have.
Yeah, we're here to debate you. That's all it is. It's just it's a lunchroom conversation. That's all that this is. We just want to have a conversation with you guys. Wow, this is a cool one. Brian Farrick says, "Hey, from Scotland." That's awesome.
And this is what I keep telling you, man. I was sitting there, one of the days when we were first pushing out the multi, all the other show shirts that we had.
Yeah.
I had this girl from Ireland, let me know when it's international,
international. Yep.
Like, wait, what? Like, yeah, I don't care if you're from Ireland. Let's go. We can send you something.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. That's why we have this platform where we can connect with people from all, Pisa was even talking about it, just how we're connecting with guys like that, and how cool that whole interaction with him and Chris was yesterday afternoon. So it's one of the things where you can have all these different things, and where we have the birds of feather guys, and then we'll have our sport, the sports hands, we're Rob and them are doing over there. So we have different views from different guys who are from different areas.
Mm-hmm.
So even though obviously our bread and butter is always going to be our market, our Philadelphia sports.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we can see that we are touching people from other markets, not just in our own general area, but across the country, and obviously across the globe at this point in
time. And that's the thing I try and tell everybody. Yeah, and that's the thing I try and tell everybody. It doesn't matter what market you're in. If you're outside the Philadelphia market, that's fine. We can still have a conversation. That's what we're talking sports. That's all it is. We're just having a conversation. That's all it is.
There he is. President's also to soccer.
When it comes to soccer, I'm with you.
Hey, listen, Prism. But that's what we're here for. We're going to get you learned up. Even if you don't tune in every week, we're going to get you caught up on some soccer. I promise.
Yeah. And he's like, "Why did that guy get a yellow card for touching the other guy?" Yeah,
like I
don't
said,
get it. I don't know. I don't get it either.
Well, it's soccer. You're not allowed to touch the ball. You're not allowed to touch your opponents.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like one of the odd things that you'd figure that it would kind of like basically hockey's a kind of a winterized version of soccer at the end.
in a way, yeah. If you want to look at it that way,
There's slightly different rules, obviously.
Yeah.
The contact's more allowed. It's just when the contact gets out of hand is when you don't
Right.
get the yellow card. You just get put in a box.
You just get the red card, yeah. But as always, guys, we really appreciate it. Obviously, there's been a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world this past week. We hope we just kind of were that outlet to kind of help you get away from some of the craziness that's going on right now. Just kind of break the monotony. And obviously, some people are still stuck in their house. Some people still aren't back to work yet. So we hope that we kind of provided just kill an hour with you guys. Have a conversation. That's all. That's what it's about here at A2 Day.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we have another show coming on tonight in this very ring with Andy. That's going to be a good one, 10 o'clock tonight. So
should you let them know about next week or no? Or should we just hold on to that one for a little
I think we'll hold on to that one. We'll hold on to that one. Build it up a little more.
I'm gonna just say, Prism, hold on to your shorts, man. Get ready for next week.
It's gonna be a fun show next week. But as always,
we got a little bit of a big one.
Yeah. But as always, guys, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, Jake Friel, Steve Reichel. Before we get out of here, let's get a word from our sponsor. We are brought to you by our doc, Make 'em Yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton, New Jersey locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. We are also brought to you by Ambuck Services, AMBUCK Services.com. Call Michael Ambrose, tell him A2D sent you. Get yourself 20% off gutters, gutter guards, any restoration you need done outside of your house. I can't speak today. Any restoration you need outside of your house, that's Ambuck Services, AMBUCK Services.com.
Restoration, huh? It's a
restoration. Yeah. I can't talk, but it's all right. It's It's Saturday.
Right. What time UK? Just subscribe or hop on A2D and get a reminder for when the next show.
Yeah, hit the notification. You'll get a reminder every time we go live. But as always, guys, again, thank you so much for joining us. As always, Jake Friel, Steve Reichel, and we'll check you guys back on another episode of the Weekly Roundup. See you guys.